Welcome. Welcome to the season of becoming. Becoming who you truly want to be, who you dream of becoming. Now in this season, the season of becoming, which we call the third quarter, in July, what we learned about doing is how to double down on our efforts. Double down on what already has been working for us. Now in August, now that we're ending August here, what we're doing is learning how to ride that wave, which is our life. And in this episode, what we're learning about is attachment styles. And not just attachment styles in and of themselves, but what I believe is an alternative to the attachment styles that we learned when we were kids growing up from our parents, from our loved ones who cared for us the most. For those of you who've been watching me for a while, throughout the week, you know and understand that each day I produce and upload a video that corresponds with this video that I produce on Tuesdays. Now, each video that I have each day is about a minute long, and within this week, we've talked about the 4 different attachment styles. So on Monday, what I did is kind of briefed us on what was going on throughout the week. Now, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we get to talk about those attachment styles and give a little bit more information on them. And I'm going to touch on those again today here. What I really want to spend my time on talking to you about is that alternative. What I feel and think is a better way to live our lives, progress our lives, and think about the things around us, think about the people around us, and our relationships to them. So make sure you check out my daily videos each day. They drop at 6 a.m. in the morning. Yep, 6 in the morning. So you'll be able to see them throughout the whole day. And be sure to check out my previous videos. The ones that I produced in July, we did the same thing. Each video throughout the day corresponded to that big video that usually came out on Tuesdays. Some of those flip-flopped. We did some on Thursdays, on Fridays, but predominantly on Tuesdays is when I produce these videos for you so that you get a better understanding of what we're talking about throughout the week. And hopefully one tip or trick that I can give you to help you live your life a little bit better, give you something that can help you get the edge up on life and create that life that you want to have, that life that you've dreamt about, to create a healthier, happier, more joy-filled life. So those 4 attachment styles that I've mentioned previously, and you'll see in the daily videos, they are secure attachment style, there is the avoidant attachment style, there is the anxious attachment style, and the disorganized attachment style. Now I'm briefly going to go over each one of those, the information that I've collected in my research. But again, what I predominantly want to do is spend my time talking about the alternative. What's going to help you, what's going to help us progress in our lives and really create that life that we can be proud of. See, now when we touch on the secure attachment style, it's pretty easy on how you feel within that attachment style. You feel secure. You feel okay in your relationships, and that's because your caregivers on what they call it, but predominantly your parents, but whoever's taking care of you, whether it's your grandparents, brother or sister, your parents, or maybe you got adopted by people who aren't your biological parents, but they're the ones that are rearing you. They're the ones that are giving you the insights, the information on how to build relationships and create relationships with other people, or even the relationships with your career, your finances, everything else under the sun. These attachment styles can spread to each one of these areas in your lives. But within this video, what we're going to predominantly talk about is just the relationships between 2 humans. So the secure attachment style, you're secure in your relationships. And you've found that out and you've understood that through the relationships you had with your parents. I'm getting tongue-tied. They showed you love. They showed you attention, and not overbearing. It was a good give and take. Enough attention, enough love and affection that you felt secure in your relationships. You felt okay. You felt like you were able to branch out and become your own person. You weren't judged or chastised or traumatized with the relationship you had with your parents or your caregivers. Now we come to the anxious attachment style. And you might be able to guess what that one kind of revolves around as well. You feel anxious in a relationship. And that's because when you were growing up, your caregivers, your parents, whomever, they were flighty. They were a roller coaster of emotions. One day they might be overbearing, give you too much emotion. The next day, they might not give you any. So it gives you a feeling of wanting. It gives you a feeling of, am I enough? So when you get in your relationships, when you become older, that's when you really become clingy and need that validation. And again, this can extend to your careers, your finances, everywhere else in your life. You need that validation to make sure that you're a good person, that you're loved, that you're seen, that you're noticed. But when you don't get that, you feel anxious. So, for an example, when you send a text to the person that you like and they don't respond right away, you get a little bit anxious. You're unsure if they like you. Your mind starts running down a rabbit hole that never needed to happen to begin with. But because you were brought up in that attachment style, that's what you know. Next, we have the avoidant attachment style. And again, you might guess this one as well. You're avoiding relationships. You're avoiding affection, even though that's something that you dearly need and want in your life. You avoid it because when you were growing up, it wasn't given to you. You saw that in the relationships, not only between you and your parents, but maybe your parents together, or maybe your caregiver and somebody else. But you've seen that, you've experienced it, and now you've took that on as your style of building relationships with people. So now you're avoiding the relationships, you're avoiding the intimacy, you're avoiding the connections that humans sorely need and want in their lives. That's because you've seen your parents, you've seen your caregivers dismissive or distant. They're constantly emotionally disconnected, which means that you as the child is believing that your needs won't be met, so you're going to avoid it at all costs. Now we come to the disorganized attachment style. And this one can also be known as the fearful avoidant. So it's pretty much the combination of the avoidant and the anxious attachment styles. You're building up this huge amount of fear, and that's because there was something traumatizing to you. There's something that increased the fear inside of you with the relationships that you had with your parents or your caregivers. See, when you were going through this when you were a child, you had a deep sense of fear and mistrust or lack of trust in your caregiver, despite wanting those connections so deeply. So growing up now, building those relationships in your life now, what you're doing now is you're creating poor boundaries. And that's one thing I've talked about a lot with a lot of my clients is being able to set boundaries. I actually had a problem with that too, which my coach helped me to understand and realize that I needed to work on. So eventually I got to work on that. And life is a lot easier when you create healthy boundaries. Yes, if you're doing those healthy boundaries and you're creating those and putting those in place now, if you had a relationship that spanned a long time and now you're putting those healthy boundaries, there's going to be some tension. There's going to be a lot of pushback from the other party because they're so used to taking from you, taking day in and day out. But now when you say, stop, I'm done, no more taking, we're going to have a healthy boundary here, a healthy relationship, they're confused. They feel hurt and betrayed and don't have trust in you now because now you're trying to have healthy relationships. So the disorganized increases the probability of creating bad boundaries, which we need good boundaries. So we've talked about the 4 attachment styles. Again, I give a little bit more information on my daily videos. But here, what we're talking about is the alternative 2. Now, it's pretty easy to understand that the anxious, the avoidant, and the disorganized, that those 3 are unhealthy relationship standards. Those are unhealthy attachment styles. When people look at the secure attachment style, they think that's where you need to go into, what you need to build your life into, because you have a loving relationship. You're secure in the relationships you have with the people you're in. But I invite you to think of this when thinking of the secure attachment style. You're still attaching yourself to somebody. Now, even though the relationship, you feel secure, you feel loved, you feel whatever positive emotion you feel, you're still attaching that to a person. So when that person leaves your life in one way or the other, maybe they move across country because they found a new job. Maybe something happened between you two and your friendship is no longer there. Maybe they died. See, now that attachment is severed. Now you no longer have that relationship and are going to be careening somewhere to find that. So you're still having an unhealthy attachment to somebody, even though it's in a loving relationship. It becomes disharmonious when they're no longer there. So now you're going to seek that validation again, seek that love again somewhere. Attach yourself like a lamprey onto something so that you can still live the way you feel like you should be living. So this is why in this video, I wanted to talk about the 4 attachment styles, but also give the alternative, which again, I feel in what I do in my life is something that I call the non-attachment style. And it's exactly what you think it is. You are not attaching yourself to someone, to something. Now, this type of thinking has very strong ties in the Eastern religions. But one quote really got me that I absolutely love from Buddha, and it goes, "You only lose what you cling to." You only lose what you cling to. And I think that really hits on the head the secure attachment style. Even though you're secure, again, we going over that, you're secure in the relationship you have with that person, but you're clinging to that like it's breath, like it's the oxygen you need to live. So when you no longer have that oxygen, you're dying. You need to find a way to get it. So if you unattach yourself from an object, from a person giving you that validation, whether it's emotional, physical, spiritual, if you sever that attachment with those things, you're going to start living a more healthier, happier, and joy-filled life. See, doing this, you're going to be able to live your life outside of the other person. This takes the pressure off of you and off of them. And it just allows you to be without depending on anyone or anything to feed your soul. And again, that's a big reason why I wanted to use this non-attachment style as an alternative to these attachment styles. Now, it's something that we're going to have to relearn. We're going to have to go through that little by little, step by step, like anything else, like any work that we need to do. The first time we do it, it's going to suck. It's going to be hard. But like I've said in the past, it's not going to be worth it if it wasn't hard. If it was easy, everybody would do it. If it was easy, everyone would be happy. Everybody's not happy because they struggle to do the work that they need to do. And with this non-attachment style idea, again, we're severing that connection between putting that attachment onto someone or something. So now it's all internal. Now what we can do is live in the moment. We can use our mindfulness and have gratitude and thankfulness for what we're dealing with now. We can deal with the stuff now in present form. See, what we've done in the past is to be able to move forward, to build relationships forward. We've worried about the future by using the data that we've collected from our history. And yet we're not living in the present moment, loving the life that we're living now. Now, a lot of you might be sitting there thinking, well, my life sucks. My job sucks. My relationship sucks. My family sucks. My financial situation sucks. Everything sucks. Why would I be grateful and thankful for what I have now? And I'd argue with you that you have one of the attachment styles. You're attaching your life. You're validating your life through external forces, through external parameters that were not yours, that were given and handed down and pressed upon you from your caregivers, from your parents. So if you can unlearn that and relearn this non-attachment style, not attaching your self-worth towards your career or your happiness and the love that's in your heart towards a connection with a person, with a human. See, if we can unattach our mentality from that and know that we are enough, that who we are, and what we have inside of us is enough. Move forward that way, not attach our validation to anything else. We're going to be living a more healthier, happier, and joy-filled life. And like I said, it's going to be hard. You're going to struggle with it. It's going to take daily effort to be able to think of this in certain situations. Now, I ask you to use small doses. Don't try to build Rome all at once, but use 1 brick. Use 1% a day. Look at a relationship. Look at your finances. Look at your career. Are your emotions attached to your career? So much that on Monday morning or even Sunday night, you're dreading the next day. Or Monday morning, you wake up here and you're dreading going into work. That means you have an attachment style to work that is a negative attachment style. Unattach yourself, and you will find your mind, your mentality, your soul become happier and have more joy in your life, and you'll experience more gratitude and be thankful for where you are, who you are, and what you have around you. So if you're finding yourself in a little bit more of a negative atmosphere, you're not liking where you're at in any form of your life, try this attachment style. Try this non-attachment style and watch your life flourish.